Home inspections are super important. We're going to get to the nitty gritty on why and what and where. Once I have a fully executed purchase contract, disclosures, and a pre-approval letter, I send a very detailed email to the team. This introduces the buyers, the attorneys, and everyone working on this deal. It also gives those guys involved in the process a time to connect with the buyer and give them their take on how they proceed with the deal. I always tell them where to send the earnest money and give a list of 2 or 3 home inspectors that I trust and enjoy working with. When I tour homes, I'm very diligent about inspecting the home. I ask for age of the mechanicals, roof, and all that stuff when we're writing an offer, but I'm not opening up the furnace. I'm not looking to see if there's leaks or damaged roofing tiles. You have to have a home inspection. Don't ever take on this responsibility. I always suggest my clients have the best home inspector in the business. Do not shop based on price. Always ask, if you're a buyer or tell your buyers, ask a broker for a recommendation. Read the reviews out there. The inspection is a great opportunity for the buyers to spend a lot of time in the home and learn about the inner workings of the property. So I always suggest the buyer's present for the inspection, or at least a good chunk of the inspection, and you should be there with them as well. It's often mandatory that you're there, actually, if you're lockboxing or using Sentry Lock. If the home inspector does a poor job and rushes through the home, misses items that the buyer then moves in and realizes there's issues, guess who's to blame? I promise you it is not the home inspector. It is the real estate agent. You guys are the trusted source. The client is looking to you A to Z to make sure that there are no missteps in this deal. Whether you recommended the home inspector or not, you should be there as a trusted source, giving them the information on who to use and why. In addition to the home inspection, I always encourage the buyers to have a radon test. We know what this is. It's important to have that eliminated. God forbid there's radon. The mitigation is actually pretty easy, but for the test, just make sure it happens. This only needs to happen in single families and condos below 3rd floor, I believe. If during the home inspection, specific items such as mold or asbestos, lead pipes are flagged, I would then ask to extend the inspection period and have all of those items properly inspected as well. If you're buying a single family home or a multi-unit building, I always recommend a sewer inspection as well. This one is often missed. The sewer inspection is basically, some of these inspectors actually offer this service, or they'll subcontract it out, and they'll come in and run a scope through the sewer line and make sure that there's a clear line from the home to the city public sewer with no breaks or damages. That's super important. I've saved clients $10,000 to $20,000 on repairs. In the city, a homeowner is responsible from the sidewalk to the home, and the city is responsible from the start of the sidewalk to the connection to the sewer. And if there's a break or damage, you want to make sure that that's noted. Some of these tests can postpone the due diligence period, and they can also be expensive, but it's way cheaper to notice these things on the front end than get into the home and then realize there's issues, sewer backup. That is the worst of the worst, I promise you. So don't let your client rush through the inspection process. Don't let them feel pressured into a deal just because they're under contract. All of these tests are allowed to happen, whether it's an as-is deal or not. Make sure you're being diligent in hiring the right people and recommending all of these in your inspection process. Your goal as a buyer's agent is to educate your buyer while you're touring the home and secure a property at a fair price based on the market comps. But your job is not over at that point. You really have to educate them on this inspection process and make sure they understand this is the time where they do the deep dive into the property history, the mechanicals, and everything related to the health of the property. You should do a home inspection on an as-is property for sure, and you should absolutely do a home inspection on new construction as well. None of these are exempt. Every property should be inspected regardless of age or condition or whatever the seller is marketing or representing to you. Make sure this inspection happens. It will give the buyer peace of mind. And most importantly, it eliminates the liability on your end, especially if you're out there saying, oh, it's a new home or it's a new flip. No need to do an inspection. Save the $700. Definitely not. After I receive the inspection report, I personally go through it myself and pick out every item that I feel the seller should remedy, repair, or give us some clarity on. We definitely ask questions during the attorney review period. And sometimes there's a wonky plug in a weird outlet, and we're like, what is this here for? Just random things. This is a case-by-case basis. I'm mostly looking for health, safety, broken or stressed items. These are all highlighted in the inspection report. There's a million fluff items. I don't touch those, right? Anything under $250 in the inspection item, I really don't touch. I'm looking for bigger ticket items that we should really have the seller remedy. Inspectors love using the phrase past its useful life, and we all know a furnace can break in 5 years or last 35 years. So it's hard to get a credit for something that's not working. But if the seller represented a furnace was 5 years old and the inspector finds out it's 15, we have something to talk about. So make sure you understand what's important on those inspection items and how to ask for credits. The buyer's attorney will send a letter to the seller's attorney asking for repair items. We don't go in and ask for a credit right away. We ask for repairs, but ultimately I do like seeing a credit versus having the seller repair items. Sellers may skirt the repair properly and not do a great job because they know they're letting go of the property. So try and get a fair credit for that repair and just take on that job when you take ownership of the home. I actually just had an as-is property inspected and the water pump was not working. That would help water pressure to the second and third floor of this townhome. And the sellers were like, oh, well, we never used it. We didn't need it. It was broken. And that was an as-is deal. We still got over a $2,000 credit. So do not be scared to ask for credits. Do not be scared to do a full dive into all of these inner workings of the homes and make sure you do that sewer inspection. Appreciate you guys joining me. If there's any questions, let me know.
I got a question, Matt.
Yep.
What if you're on the seller side and the contracts read that the inspection is supposed to be addressing major components, right? And you're representing the seller, the buyer's agent comes and they're asking you to replace or give credits for, cracked light switches and things of that nature that, the house is 10 years old and those things happen, but it's not a major component.
Yeah, what I'll usually do is I will break it down with my clients as a seller. If there's an impasse, we'll a lot of times bundle a lot of those and just give a bulk credit to kind of make them go away. It's like hush money. So if there's like 8 items that are really nonsense and they definitely shouldn't be asking for them, we'll just give a bulk credit for $150 or $250. Start low and see what sometimes the buyers are like, ooh, they gave us something. That's a win. Sometimes they'll really stick to their guns and try and get more and negotiate. I always tell sellers, listen, every single buyer is going to try and retrade this contract during inspection. Do not be surprised. So be ready to give up $500 or $1,000 during inspection. If you prep them and you prep your sellers for that, I think it'll go a lot smoother.
I agree. Thank you.
Yep. Have a great day, guys. Thanks for joining. Hope you had a great holiday weekend.